The sun had barely risen when Elise Grant stepped into the glossy, glass-walled office of Elite Companions, discreet role-play services. The name made her cringe, but she wasn't here for the usual kind of fantasy. She was here to hire a fake fiancé. Her heels clicked sharply against the marble floors as she crossed to the receptionist, her tailored navy blazer stiff with the tension in her shoulders. Elise was 32, polished to perfection, and armed with a Harvard MBA. She didn't do love. She didn't do games. But this was a performance she couldn't afford to mess up. Her father, industrialist titan Charles Grant, had made it clear, settle down, show me you're building a family. And I'll finalize your inheritance. The Grant legacy. The company. Everything she'd worked 10 years to prove she could handle, but Charles had old-fashioned values. No husband, no future. Just her brother, Chase, a charming playboy with zero business sense, waiting in the wings. So here she was, staging a relationship. A door opened behind the receptionist. Out walked a man, tall, strikingly handsome, with that kind of charisma that made every head in the room turn. His smile was trained and professional. She hated how perfect he looked. Elise Grant, he asked. I'm Nathan. We spoke on the phone. She shook his hand. Firm grip. Confident. Just what she needed, in a private room. They sat across from each other. Nathan opened a leather portfolio. You'll need a contract. 3 weeks, right? Just long enough to make an impression during your father's gala weekend? 3R, Elise nodded. We'll need backstory, shared memories, chemistry. Believable enough to fool a man who built an empire from scratch. Nathan gave a slight smirk. I played husbands, fiancés, even ex-boyfriends on the verge of reconciliation. I can handle a protective father. Elise crossed her arms. This isn't about being charming. It's about convincing a man who sees through lies like they're made of glass. Then we'll make it look real, Nathan said. Down to the subtle touches, the shared glances, inside jokes. But we keep boundaries. I stay in character. You don't fall in love. Elise snorted. That won't be a problem. They signed the contract that afternoon. Elise picked Nathan up 3 days later at a modest home in Connecticut, far from the Manhattan skyline she ruled. She hadn't expected him to live in such a humble place. He came out with a single suitcase and a relaxed smile, but it was the man at the door behind him who caught her off guard. Leaning in the doorway was a man in a wheelchair. His posture was casual, but there was something piercing in his gaze, like he'd already read her entire file. He had the same jawline as Nathan but with more shadows under his eyes, his dark hair tousled like he didn't care much for appearances. This is my brother, Nathan said. Liam. Elise gave a polite nod. Nice to meet you. Liam's lips twitched, just slightly. Is it? Elise blinked. Excuse me? Nathan quickly stepped in. Liam's a little skeptical of my job. That's one word for it, Liam said. Another word is exhausted. Of pretending. Of helping people lie for money. Elise bristled. It's none of your business. Liam's smile was dry. Everything's my business when it walks into my house and pays my brother to sell a fairy tale. Nathan clapped him on the shoulder. Be nice, Liam. Not everyone gets the luxury of honesty. Elise turned toward the car without saying another word. But she could feel Liam's eyes on her as she walked away. Like he already knew she was bluffing. They arrived at the Grant estate on the edge of the Hudson Valley just before sunset. The mansion loomed like something from a modern Gothic novel, all sharp lines, endless glass, and a kind of quiet judgment. Charles Grant was waiting in the drawing room, drink in hand. Salt and pepper hair. Cold eyes. He measured Nathan up and down, then turned to Elise. He's handsome. But is he clever? Elise's voice didn't waver. He has 2 businesses and a master's in communications. Charles arched a brow. Any siblings? Nathan's smile didn't falter. One brother. Liam. He's more the brains. I'm the charmer. Is Liam rich? Charles asked, unexpectedly. Nathan laughed. No, sir. He's a writer. Life's quiet. Smarter than me, though. He can spot a lie a mile away. That comment made Elise stiffen. Charles noticed. His eyes narrowed just slightly. Well, her father finally said, you're welcome in my house. Just know I don't trust anyone. That night, in the guest room, Nathan leaned against the door and sighed. He's not easy to impress. Elise sat on the bed, removing her earrings. He's impossible to impress. That's why we have to make this airtight. Nathan nodded. You did good today. Just watch the twitch in your eyebrow. You get it when you lie. Elise rolled her eyes. You really are an actor. Nathan gave a half smile. I learned from the best. Liam used to help me rehearse growing up. Liam again, Elise murmured. Why is he in a wheelchair? Car accident. 5 years ago. Spinal cord injury. He used to be a runner. Still writes every day. Keeps me grounded. Elise was silent. She didn't know what to make of that. She didn't like how the image of Liam, sharp-tongued, watchful, had followed her into her dreams last night. The next few days were a dance of public displays and whispered secrets. Nathan held her hand like he meant it. Called her love and laughed at her jokes. Elise played the part too, looping her arm through his, smiling in that practiced way that didn't reach her eyes, but it was in the quiet moments that the cracks began to show. Late one evening, while Nathan took a call, Elise stepped outside to the garden terrace. She hadn't expected anyone to be there. Liam sat under the pergola, a book on his lap, lit by a single warm bulb overhead. You should be careful, he said without looking up. You almost look happy. Elise smirked. You really enjoy being smug, don't you? Liam shrugged. Occupational hazard. She stepped closer, arms crossed. Why does it bother you so much? What Nathan does? He looked up then, his expression unreadable. Because I see what it does to people like you. You start with a lie to get what you want, and somewhere along the way, you forget what truth even feels like. Elise looked away, stung. You think I'm some kind of heartless heiress? Liam tilted his head. Aren't you? I'm trying, she said softly. I'm just doing what I have to. My brother will ruin everything if I don't take over. Liam's voice was low. Then maybe you should tell your father that. He won't listen. He never listens. Silence fell between them. Elise turned to leave. By the way, Liam added, your hand twitches when you lie. Not your eyebrow. She stopped, smiled despite herself. Elise tried to ignore the way her heart fluttered when Liam said her name. It didn't make sense. Nathan was the one she'd hired. The one who was perfect, photogenic, and knew how to hold her hand with exactly the right pressure in front of her father. But when the crowds dispersed, when the stage lights dimmed, it was Liam's voice that echoed in her mind. They began to talk more. It started with casual debates at breakfast, politics, literature, the ethics of performance. Liam had a mind like a scalpel and didn't care whether he cut her open. Then there were the late-night encounters on the terrace, where the garden smelled like jasmine and the moonlight softened his sharp tongue. He'd ask her unexpected questions, like, what were you like before the world told you to be ruthless? Or, do you ever wonder what you'd do if your father didn't control everything? And once, when she was shivering slightly from a breeze, he'd tossed her a blanket without a word. Their fingers brushed. She looked at him, startled. He just looked back, steady and silent. Something in her cracked that night. Not a collapse, just the beginning of one. Nathan wasn't oblivious. He saw the glances. The moments. The way Elise no longer laughed at his jokes when Liam was in the room. You're getting sloppy, he said one evening in the guest house, voice tight. You're supposed to be in love with me, remember? I know the plan, Elise snapped, then stick to it. Because your father isn't the only one watching. Elise opened her mouth, then closed it again. Nathan softened. Look, I like Liam. But he's not a game player. You mess with him, you'll lose more than your inheritance. I'm not messing with anyone, she whispered. I didn't plan for this. No one ever does. The night of the gala arrived. Charles Grant's annual summer event was a high society circus, politicians, CEOs, distant royals. Elise and Nathan played their roles to perfection, sipping champagne, smiling for photos. But Elise kept looking for Liam. He wasn't there. She slipped away after dinner and found him on the back patio, away from the music. A single lamp cast golden light across his face. You're avoiding me, she said. He didn't look surprised. Trying to. Why? Liam stared out at the dark trees. Because I was starting to forget you were pretending. Her chest tightened. I didn't mean to, but you did. You hired my brother to fake a life, and somehow you crawled into mine. She walked toward him, voice shaking. Liam. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. He looked at her then, really looked. Tell me the truth, Elise. Right now. If the inheritance didn't exist, would you still be here? She swallowed. I don't know. That was her mistake, Liam nodded slowly. Then this ends here. He turned his wheelchair, rolled past her, and was gone before she could find the words. The next morning, Charles summoned them to his study. He was already seated, a thin folder on the desk. Elise stood between Nathan and Chase, her brother, who looked far too smug in a tailored gray suit. I've made my decision, Charles said. And I'm going to say some things that may make you uncomfortable. Elise braced herself. I know Nathan isn't your real fiancé, her father said. Silence. Cold and absolute. I knew the second I saw the way he touched you. Too polished. Too choreographed. And the fact that your eyes kept drifting to his brother, that sealed it. Elise's mouth was dry. How did you? Because I used to be just like you, he said. Hungry. Strategic. Willing to perform love if it got me what I wanted. But then I met your mother, and I learned something. He stood, slowly. You can't fake love. But real love? Real love exposes the truth. He turned to Chase. You've done nothing with your life. You treat money like a toy. You're out. Chase swore under his breath and stormed out. Then Charles turned to Elise. You lied to me. But for the first time, I believe you were also lying to yourself. You want the company? Earn it. Build something. With truth, not illusion. He slid the folder toward her. Inside were the transfer papers. A portion of the company. A seat on the board. Not everything, but enough to start over. I'll be watching, he said. Don't waste the second chance. Nathan left the next day. He gave Elise a soft smile as he loaded his suitcase into a taxi. You could have been a great actress, he said. You could have been a great brother, she teased. I am a great brother, he said. That's why I'm leaving before you make more of a mess. She hugged him. Thank you. For what? For helping me find what I was really looking for. Liam didn't answer her calls. Or her texts. 3 weeks passed. Elise threw herself into work, real work. She started building proposals, restructuring teams, connecting with employees instead of hiding behind spreadsheets. One morning, a letter arrived. Handwritten, Elise, you said you didn't know if you'd still be here without the inheritance. I didn't wait for your answer. That was my mistake. I forgot that people can change. That sometimes, pretending becomes real, if you still feel what I feel. Come find me. No lies. No script. Just us, Liam. She drove to Connecticut the same day. No makeup. No designer dress. Just jeans and a white t-shirt and a heart that finally felt light. Liam was on the porch when she arrived, sipping coffee. She climbed the steps. Stood in front of him. I'm not here for money. He nodded. I know. I don't have a plan. He smiled. Good. I just missed you. Liam's eyes didn't leave hers. You know, I was right. About what? You're terrible at lying. she laughed. A real one. He reached out, took her hand, and just like that, the performance was over. This was real. The end. My name is Temille Deebs. Please make sure to subscribe and comment your thoughts. Thank you. See you in the next video.